started in just a few moments. So we're going to ask if you are eating, if you can go ahead and start making your way and sit in the middle section. We want everybody to sit and fill in the seats right in the middle. We're super excited about the conversation that is getting ready to take place. So we want you to have a good seat. The middle is the place to be. And the first two rows to my left are okay. In the middle and the first two rows on the left. All right? We'll get started in just a few minutes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to see you all here. Thank you so much for joining us at Bright Star Church for the first Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council for the 2025-26 school year. Yes. And I'm excited for a number of reasons. One, we're starting off another successful school year. Obviously, we have a lot of wonderful guests today. If you guys have seen the agenda, we're going to be covering a lot of different issues, so I expect the conversations to be very rich and informative. and hopefully some discussion back and forth. But I got to be honest, the thing I'm most excited about is that this is the 15th year for the Community Action Councils. Yes. That is quite a testament to all the volunteers that have been a part, not just in Bronzeville, but in 7 other communities as well. Through their hard work and perseverance, they've not only developed plans, but they've helped to make them come to fruition, right? And another exciting thing as far as the CACs are concerned is that we are starting our 9th CAC this year in the South Shore community. Yes. So again, I want to welcome everyone. I do want to say, if you'll indulge, or I'll indulge you, if you give me 2 minutes just to talk a little about FACE, because I feel like community engagement is so important. And when you say that, it means a lot of different things to different people. And so I want to talk about FACE, not just because I'm proud of what we do, but I feel that FACE offers, within our offices, we offer a lot of different strategies, a lot of different initiatives for us to be involved directly with the community and the schools, and in turn, getting stakeholders directly involved in our schools to support our students. Did I say who I was? No, I didn't. I just went right into it. Sorry. My name is Carl Herdlich. I am the Community Action Council Specialist. And as I get older and older, I'm glad that I got this new name tag here so I can just look down. That's who I am, right. And my superhero name, since I've been around ever since the CAC started, I'm known as the CAC Man. So, yeah, has a nice ring to it. So, beyond the CACs, I want to introduce my fellow colleague, Reverend Alan Conley. Please stand up, Alan. So Alan's the director of our faith-based initiatives. Real quick, they offer spiritual and financial support to our families who have lost children. Yes, it's very sad, and luckily, and unfortunately it does happen more often than you would think, Alan and his team provide the support that those families need. In addition, he runs the Safe Haven program, where faith-based institutions open up their doors, not just for families of their congregations, but for all families and students in their communities after school and during our breaks. Parent University, we have a site at Diet offering trainings, programs for parents' professional development, as well as how to help them to prepare their children to be future leaders. Bronzeville is fortunate in that we also have Pastor Neil. He runs Parent University as well, at least a form of it, through the Timothy Community Corporation in the former Price building. And of course, Bright Star, right across the street at Woodson Elementary, they run a Parent University as well. Volunteers department, very important. Getting parents, residents directly involved in their schools, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's chaperoning a trip, whether it's just being on the playground to ensure that students can play safely, right? Who else am I forgetting? Oh, LSC, Local School Council. Nowhere else in this country, besides Chicago, do you have a model that's been around for a long time, late 80s, where you have direct community involvement, parents, staff, teachers, residents, running for elected officers to be part of a council to oversee budgets and choose the principal that they feel is best for their schools. There's no other model like that in the country. And PBG, thank you, Alan. PBG, so Parent Board of Governors, that goes along with Title I. Title I schools all get a certain amount of federal funding, right? And so we provide support as far as working with each school, figure out the best way how to spend their funds on ways to, again, support our parents. So all that is to say is there are a lot of different ways to get residents, parents involved directly in their schools and communities. So please seek FACE out, any of our staff, as a resource. You can look on the website. And we look forward to working with you, and we definitely look forward to the conversation tonight. Thank you. And I'm going to bring up the Network 17 representative, Angel, and I'm blanking. Let me cheat. Angel Adams, okay?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angel Adams. I am Chief Hester's Executive Assistant for Network 17. Unfortunately, he is unable to be with us tonight, so I'll speak on his behalf. With Network 17, we have about 19 high schools on the south side, the far south side of Chicago. And we are working with students, community partners, and we're just happy to be able to work with the Greater Bronzeville CAC Association as well, so that we can continue to partner and figure out what's best for our students and families. If you would like more information about Network 17, you can reach out to me. My name is Angel Adams. My email address is aadams8@cps.edu, and we would look forward to speaking with you and partnering with you all as well. Thank you. My email address is aadams8@cps.edu. Thank you. And next, I would like to bring up Chief Mason, Network 9.
Great day, everybody. Okay, we're going to start again. Great day, everybody. I am the proud chief of Network 9 Elementary School Networks. My name is Aileen Mason, and I would be remiss not to introduce my deputy. Can you please stand or wave your hand? Patricia Harper Reynolds. And we definitely have some of our Network 9 administrators. Network 9, make some noise. Those are my people. And we shine in 9. That is our slogan, we shine in 9. I am definitely very blessed and happy to be here today. Want to give a shout out to Pastor Harris because he always makes sure networks are involved with the GBCAT. Thank you, sir. I give my phone calls, I give my text messages, and I appreciate just being involved to hear from the top down of how we can help support our principals. I serve, and I am a servant leader. I serve 27 schools, ranging from Bronzeville to Washington Park to Fuller Park to Hyde Park and Woodlawn communities. I have 9,753 students as of today in our network that we service. And we're here to have and be that collaborative partner, working with our school leaders, working with our parents and community partners to make sure we have the best education possible for our students and give the resources to our parents so that this is a collective village and we're working together. So I am very blessed to be here today, very blessed to have a great start of a school year. So shout out to my Network 9 leaders for holding it down for that. And just continue to look forward to be a partner in the work. I'm going to call Pastor Harris up. Let's give it up for this awesome man of God.
If y'all sat next to anybody good looking, make some noise for them right now. Come on. Now, if they're quiet, you ought to move your seat because they clearly don't know how amazing you are. So some of y'all missed that moment. If you sat next to anybody good looking, make some noise for them right now. I need you to know that the absolute greatest educators are in this room right now on tonight. Network 9 and Network 17, Greater Bronzeville principals, assistant principals, and teachers, will you please stand? Y'all got to go crazy for them and yourselves. Come on. I need y'all to make some noise for all of these school leaders, all of these educators. And we are so grateful to have all of you all here today. And those of you all that are not on the scene, you are, as always, watching on the screen. And as the chairman of the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council, I'm absolutely proud to have you all here. Tonight was really, really important because we wanted to make sure that we have all of our leaders of the schools here on tonight. We wanted to start this year's focus for the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council with all of you all. We wanted to make sure that we give the GBCAC a fresh start, brand new start with this brand new school year, and we are really, really excited. I'm certainly appreciative of our network chiefs. I just got to say it. We got the best in the whole system. Y'all give it up for Chief Hester and Chief Mason. Come on, y'all make some noise. These are our chiefs, and we are so very grateful. I just pause and just acknowledge there's a group of individuals who I get the privilege to work with, and we've been working together now for over 15 years of doing this work. And this is really exciting. And again, everybody's not here on the scene, but many of them are watching on the screen. I'm going to ask the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council Executive Committee, please stand. Y'all go crazy for these folks. We are all volunteers. Oh, come on. Can y'all do a little bit better? We meet every single month, several times a month, to make sure that we are focusing on making all schools better in the Greater Bronzeville area. Now, the footprint that we call Greater Bronzeville, 67 South, 22nd North, Lakeshore Drive, Dan Ryan. But the Bronzeville South Lakefront is what that footprint really is, and we are super duper excited to represent all schools. Let me be very clear in this room, not just Chicago public schools. Everybody say all schools. All educational institutions from early childhood development, early learning, all the way to college and career. And that's what we do to make schools better in our community. This is what it's all about. I don't know if I would say this and get at least 3 of y'all to act like you at my church on a Sunday and clap or say amen. I do believe that access to a world-class education is violence prevention. I firmly, but y'all come on, do better. I am thoroughly convinced access to a world-class education is, in fact, violence prevention. Y'all do me a favor. Take your phones out right now, everybody. I know you may have left your purse. You may have left your wallet. But I guarantee you did not leave your phone. Come on, take your phones out, everybody. It is my prayer, I hope y'all don't walk out after this statement, that it's an Apple device. Because those of y'all that don't have an iPhone, my condolences to y'all. Okay, let me just show y'all how this works. Our Apple family makes some noise in here tonight. The rest of y'all make some noise. Oh, now wait a minute now. Samsung, y'all in the house tonight? Galaxy, y'all in the house tonight? Bishop, flip phone, you in the house tonight? We are pretty sure he bought his BlackBerry or his Nextel, but we are grateful that he's here tonight. So will y'all please do me a favor quickly. Use your phone and go to the Bright Star Community Outreach Facebook page, or you can go to our GBCAC Facebook page and share what you are experiencing at this very moment. This allows you all to invite those who are in your sphere of influence to be a part of this meeting. We did not have any intention to have a massive amount of people in the room. We wanted to start with the educators. We wanted to start with the school leaders. We wanted to start with the EC and the GBCAC members to figure out, where do we go from here? And what are our next steps as an organization? This is really what it's all about. And so please share it on your page so that those who are in your sphere of influence will be able to join the meeting on tonight. If you can text it to your parents, if you can text it to the staff, please text it out and tell everybody, join this meeting right now, and it allow those that are in the virtual space to be a part of this meeting tonight. We are especially grateful at the GBCAC to have political leaders that come to our meeting. They are a part of our work, whether they are on the scene or on the screen. Let me tell you, if they're not in the room, I guarantee you they are on Zoom every single time. But we are grateful tonight. I want all of our political leaders to please stand. Y'all clap for all of our political leaders that are in the room tonight. Come on. I need y'all to do better. I didn't want to miss them. Come on, y'all do better. I'm going to ask our senator, if you don't mind having words. I'm grateful. You know, these folks have to go to a bunch of events every single night, and when they take time to come and be with us, it really means a lot to us. So would you all clap your hands for Senator Maddie Hunter as she comes to have words on behalf of education in this. Y'all make some noise for our very own.
Hey, Pastor. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here with you guys tonight. Normally, I'm on Zoom, but I had a few minutes before Representative Kimberly Duplique, one of my reps, is here with me, and we have about 3 other meetings to go to, and we were we had to stop by because I'm always on Zoom, but this is the first time I've attended a meeting in a long time. But we appreciate all of you all. We need you all. We're partners in this whole endeavor. You know, I attended public schools, Beethoven Elementary. That's right, DuSable Upper Grade Center, DuSable High School. And I still live in the hood, y'all, okay? So, so we're here for you all, and I'm not bragging, but 16 years ago, I'm the one that passed the legislation to create the CACs. That's right. Okay? Yeah. Because of the need, as was spelled out earlier, and we all need each other, as I've indicated earlier. Angela McLemore is from my staff. If you all need anything, please reach out to Angela. Thank you very much. And you all, we have to go, okay? Thank you.
Y'all clap for our folks that got to go. Y'all clap your hands for our senator. Representative Dubuque, if you will come up and have words to us. Come on, y'all clap for our state representative. Come on, they took time to come and be with us. I need y'all to clap faster. They made us first. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm State Representative Kim Dubuque, and I just want to reiterate what my state senator said. What a wonderful opportunity to get all the educators together, to give you all the accolades, all the love, all of the information. This is amazing. I'm really excited that you are doing Facebook Live so that people who couldn't be here tonight can also participate. So thank you all for coming out. We appreciate everything you do because your work is just as important as our work. And what we do is for you. So please never forget that we are public servants trying to serve all of you all. So thank you once again.
Yeah. Y'all clap for them as they walk out the door right now. They got to get out of here. Thank y'all for coming. One more time, don't we appreciate our political leaders? I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the absolute most active, I got to tell you, next to Senator Mattie Hunter, the absolute most active political leader, Alderman Pat Dow. Y'all go crazy for Alderman Pat Dow. She is always supporting the CACs and our schools. So even in her absence, y'all make some noise for her one more time. While your hands are clapping, please welcome my brother from another mother. He is the co-chair of the GB CAC. Please welcome Pastor Mike Neal.
Hey, y'all. Listen, when Pastor Harris was talking about Bishop's flip phone, that was not a joke. He really has a flip phone. And sometimes when we have our meetings, it takes us a good 10 or 15 minutes to get past the flip phone jokes, and then we start getting into real business. But it is a pleasure to be able to be a part of the GB CAC. We're comprised of stakeholders and faith-based business, former educators. People just have a real good stake in making sure that our schools have the best resources, access to education, and just being able to support you guys. We got some of the greatest principals and teachers, and we really love working with you and for you. And so we invite those who are not connected to a CAC. You're more than welcome to come and join us. We do meet every other week. Sometimes we have special meetings. Sometimes we have Zoom meetings. Sometimes we have longer meetings. Sometimes we have shorter meetings. Sometimes we eat. But it all boils down to we're really trying to serve the community. So if you are interested, CAC members, you stand one more time. If you are interested in being a part of the CAC, the GB CAC, just see one of our CAC members and tell them you're ready, and we'll get you ready to start working. Now, another person who is a part of our CAC is so instrumental. This young man has done an awesome job because we're not just joking and talking, and we're really strategizing. And what Miles has done, Miles Francis is going to come, and he's going to share actual data of how, because of the work we do, the drops in crime, the increase in education, because we strongly believe that when the resources are placed in position, you will see a drop in all the things that are negative, whether it be crime, whether it be bad test scores, all of those things. And so Miles is going to come and give you a deep dive. I want you to just give a big hand of applause for Miles Francis.
You good? Good afternoon, everyone. So I have the privilege of sharing some of the history of the GBCAC in front of several members that lived through that history. So that is both nerve-wracking and an honor. And to those of y'all who lived through it, if I miss anything, please make sure you chime in. I love that we start with this beautiful image right here. This is not a stock photo. This is not Google Images. This is an actual photo of a mural that was painted in our neighborhood when that was needed most. And I'll get a little bit into that as we move throughout the presentation. But we can move to the first slide. So this is our greater Bronzeville. And we consider that 26th Street to the north, 67th Street to the south, Dan Ryan all the way over to the lake. We're very intentional about collaborating with some of the other key stakeholders that support this area, but we are present in this entire area. It's not just a name, right? I've been at different CAC events that have supported Bret Hart down in Hyde Park, Dulles has been a part of our student recognition ceremony regularly, as well as all of the Perishing Phillips, all of the ones that are considered traditional Bronzeville. We really do serve all 43 schools in this area, whether they're attendance area or citywide. You can see our elementary schools there are the circles, our high schools there are the triangles. We're active and engaged in trying to reach out and build relationships with administrators in every single one of these spaces. All right, the early years. I feel like I need like an old TV show theme song going in the background of this one. But the CAC was formed in 2010. That is about to be 16 years ago. And when I think about the longevity of an organization, of a collective, of a collaborative group, that is no small feat, right? To stay in communication, to work through challenges and disagreements over 16 years, not a lot of entities or organizations across the city can say that. So the CAC being able to do that is powerful. So starts in 2010, Douglas, Grand Boulevard, Kenwood, Oakland, and Washington Park, those neighborhoods that collectively make up what we call the Bronzeville community. And immediately, kind of after forming, they got to planning, right? Creating a vision for education in Bronzeville. So coming together to identify what are the assets. All of this work that the CAC does has been asset-based, understanding that no matter how they talk about our neighborhoods, no matter what they overlook in our neighborhoods, we know there are strengths in our neighborhoods. We know there are resources in our neighborhoods. If folks would just get out of our way, we can build on every single piece of that. So thinking about those assets, also identifying and acknowledging the gaps, right, and coming together to create an education in Bronzeville, a vision. That was the plan that came together in 2011, and that has been a through line of our work. I'll talk in a moment about an additional plan, right, that has been put into action, and as Pastor Neil alluded to, we'll talk about some of the results of that action. But planning has been a key stage, strategic planning, evidence-based planning, and some of the events and activities that have been long-standing as a part of the CAC's vision have been our principal's breakfast. How many folks in the room has been to one of our principal's breakfasts? Right? Almost half the room, right? There's a lot of love in that space. There's a lot of support that happens in our space for our administrators and our teachers and the folks that are asked to do so much more than what their job description originally was. So we take that intentional time to love on our principals, to feel connected to our school communities. Area regional analysis, community meetings. Area regional analysis comes out every year. Community members need a space to process all of that information, to have that information shared with them in a way that's digestible to them. So the CAC kind of takes the lead on that. Community dialogue meetings. Every time from 2010 to now, when we bring community together, there's one thing that stands out. Community has a lot to say. They have a lot to get off their chest, and there's not a lot of spaces to do that, and the CAC has served as an accessible community space for that to happen, and for that communication to be two ways, right? Not just folks spending an hour on the mic and talking, and everybody saying thank you for your comments, and nothing else happening, right? But actual back and forth dialogue where meeting after meeting things are built on. Parent University. Several iterations of Parent University have existed and do exist here in Bronzeville. There's the Diet's Parent University. There's BSCO's Parent University. The CAC has supported all of those different entities, pulled the best pieces of all of those different entities, identified what works, and amplified each piece of that. Fighting for our Bronzeville schools. This is incredibly critical. Schools are places where relationships are built, where informal systems of support are built, where formal systems of support are built on, where pathways to future success are created, and they tried to take away our schools. They successfully closed over 40 schools, right? And we fought for some of ours, including Diet, including several other schools in our communities, right? So showing up for these school buildings when they're under threat, big part of the CAC's legacy. And then back to school every year, getting our young people, our parents, everyone ready to head back into school. So I had to really make sure I touched on all of those pieces that have been a long-standing part of our history. And now when we talk about our events, we're talking about 6th annual, 7th annual, 8th annual, right? Things that have been consistent parts of our community that people look forward to, events where people know they can get resources and information. So that all started with the beginning right here. The Community Action Plan. So we talked about the plan that happened in 2011. From there, that plan grew, right, through partnerships, through the CAC, through BSCO, through the University of Chicago, through actually a collective of 70 different partners that the CAC was instrumental in bringing to the table, making sure that those voices were heard to create a community action plan. Right? Pastor Harris spoke earlier to how access to a high-level education is violence prevention. That's very much embedded in the vision of this action plan. So it was built on 4 pillars: high-quality programs for youth and families, supporting schools and school leaders to advance education equity for all schools in the community, faith-led trauma support services for people affected by violence. Cannot stress that piece enough, that trauma-informed piece, understanding that the way that people are reacting when they're put into neighborhoods and situations where there's a lot of violence, the way people are reacting are normal to an unnormal situation, right? So that lens is the one that we take, that approach is one that we take to make sure that we're lifting up our community and meeting them where they're at. And then employment placement services for residents, right? What you gonna do with that education? What you gonna do with that mentorship? What you gonna do with that support? How can we put folks on a pathway that's sustainable, that's gonna allow them to continue to grow, right? Not just getting to college, not just landing that job, but retention in those spaces as well. So all of that is built into the Community Action Plan. The Community Action Plan is also very much rooted in data. So we did neighborhood resident surveys in 2015, 2018, and 2021. 3 different instances of 400 individual interviews with community residents, right? Y'all can clap for that. Because I led that, and that's not easy. 400 of y'all neighbors. I see my boy Corey in the house too that helped us out with that. Man. But what does that take? That takes relationships, right? To go door to door in our communities, to have people open up that door, to have people sit with you, give you some of their time, right? When they've heard people coming around handing out flyers, they've heard people coming around promising change. So how are you gonna take somebody's time, and how do you build a relationship that allows people to say, you know what, I will sit and talk with you for another survey, another bit of research, because it's actually grounded in community. They saw that BSCO logo, they saw that GBCAC logo, they had been to those meetings, and they said, all right, I believe in this group that's actually gonna do something with this information. 400 individual residents, each iteration of that survey. That was overlaid with interviews with our key stakeholders, right? So folks who are executive directors of organizations, our principals, different folks that run youth programs inside and outside of schools, our folks from the Park District, all different types of folks who are decision makers in a variety of ways, interviewed with them, over 30 each time that we did the data collection and triangulated with neighborhood, stakeholders, and students. Over 20 Bronzeville schools, each time. The entire 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade classes of all of those schools. Again, that's relationships, right? Again, that's coming in and setting groundwork with young people to understand this is why you're coming out of class. We need you to be honest and forthright on these surveys, because we're actually gonna do something positive in your community with this information. We ask kids, how much agency do they have in school? And that's something that we can build on by involving them in the process of creating our community action plan. So we did that twice in 2015 and 2018. What came out of that was not only the plan itself that was grounded in those 4 pillars that I mentioned earlier, but also a resource guide. How many of y'all know that a lot of y'all neighbors, the services that they need, that they're looking for, are right around the corner, but they have no idea, right? because it's not advertised. There's nowhere where that information is kept consistent and current. There's nowhere where that information is organized by, this is the season that this thing is open. This is the ages that it's available to. This is how much it costs or doesn't cost, right? This is where their wait list is at. And are you going to be put on a wait list, or are you going to speak to an actual person? We did our best to consolidate all of that information into the resource guide. We updated it. We created a digital version. We created QR codes, but we also created a physical version so that you could find it in your local neighborhood field house or at your local school, or pick one up at a CAC meeting, literally putting that information in people's hands. That's a lot deeper than a flyer. You're not going to throw a whole book of resources down somewhere, right? So the resource guide was a key part of that as well. And strengthened a few different domains in that area. Built on that, built out Parent University. Parent University, again, I talked about that youth feedback. Our Parent University was built on parent feedback. Asking parents, what did they want to see in their schools, right? Not what are the services they need, although services are important, but what are the amenities that they need? And why can't we reframe what parents have access to in our neighborhoods as amenities? That's the standard that we should be looking for, right? Not services. And though we need to make sure our needs are met, what do they want? What would really lift them up? So those are currently hosted by the CAC and by BSCO, and included in that process are workshops for real things that people mention needing help with, like managing anxiety, like financial wellness, not just, you really need to save or invest, but like, no, what is your current situation? What is your current budget? How can we work with that and build positive habits that allow you to get to where you see yourself, right? And where you see your young people. Self-defense, avoiding scams. Sorry, Samsung people. Those scams, I know they're hurting your phone. We got a workshop for that. It's all good. Providing those resources. So again, informed by what people said that they wanted. Development opportunities for young people and parents, and for young people and parents at the same time, right? Making sure that adults and parents and caregivers don't have to choose between go to a class or go to a workshop or going to get some information and looking out for their kid. So making sure that childcare is offered in these spaces when we're having these parent universities. And then giveaways, right? You got to incentivize the people. The information is good, the services are good, the amenities are good, but you might get a free laptop if you show up this week. And if you didn't get it this week, come back next week. You probably get a gift card. There's not a lot of people that have come consistently to Parent University and have left empty-handed. I promise you that. You're going to get something out of this in addition to the information. So I talked about the action plan. I talked about the resource guide. All of that is long-term strategic planning. There are certain things you can't plan for, like COVID, right? Overlaid on top of a racial reckoning happening in the country. So during COVID, the GBCAT came together to first support people's basic needs: masks, hand sanitizer, gloves, all the different things that people weren't aware that they were going to need. Coming together and to work with the Chicago Public Schools to make sure that the transition to remote learning could go smoothly. How many young people didn't have a laptop in their house? How many young people didn't have Wi-Fi that worked, right? The CAC was organizing around making sure all of those things were available. And so those are some of the masks in the top right corner. I'll be real quick. Can we just go back to that last slide? Because I promised I was going to build on the murals. During the murals, 2020, during COVID, George Floyd is murdered. Breonna Taylor is murdered. People are frustrated, hurt, angry, fearful, right? So we responded to that in several ways, including peaceful protests led by the CAC, but there was also destruction that happened in our neighborhoods out of frustration, same frustrations that happened in '68 when King was killed, right? We're tired. Broke a lot of our businesses in our own communities. The CAC and some other folks connected to the community got tired of looking at that. They decided to clean up that space, beautify that space, paint murals. So that mural you saw at the beginning, this one right here, 47th and Cottage Grove. You might pass that spot on your way home. It was busted windows. The CAC, in the moment, was able to respond to the moment and transform it into that. We supported food pantries. We supported laptops like I talked about, right? Our chair came together with clinicians around the city to give people real, accurate information about what was happening during COVID. Organized the peaceful side of those protests, right? Came together to make sure that the community was able to express that voice in a way that could be heard and acted upon. So just responding in real time to things that are happening in the community. We can go to the next one. This event is one of our key events, happens every year, right? We always say we want more from our young people. We want them to exceed, we want them to excel, we want them to be focused. Well, when our valedictorians and salutatorians and most improved students have achieved those things at the end of the year, we make sure that there's a space for them to come and be celebrated, right? To be heard, to get a good word. This year we had Eugene Williams, who's leading the Black Student Success Plan at CPS, come and speak to those young people amidst being attacked for having a Black Student Success Program. So think about a space where young people are getting that message from the source that's trying to support them. That's what the Student Recognition Ceremony represents. So that's a lot of work that we've been doing. There's a lot of work that we're still doing. I don't know if you all noticed the installations of public art that have been installed in the concrete at 35th and State and at 14 other different places around Bronzeville and the South Side. The Chicago Race Riot of 1919 Commemoration Project, acknowledging that event of racial violence, was born out of the CAC, right? When somebody came with the idea to make that happen in the city, it was the CAC who said, you need community voice and community input. Now that's permanent art that's embedded around our city about our history. And now the data, right? What does all of this work do? What is people coming together to support each other, to support our young people, to organize, to have a long-term vision, to respond to events in real time? What does all that get you? It gets you drops in shootings, homicides, aggravated assaults, and robberies. These graphs depict the time before and then after the Community Action Plan was introduced in the Bronzeville neighborhood. The line right there is that the vertical line is the line that Community Action Plan was implemented. And in all four of those categories, you get sharp dips, double-digit dips. I think the two biggest was a 17% drop in shootings and a 14% drop in aggravated assaults, I believe. This is playing out in 2020, 2021, 2022, and now we're seeing it be obvious citywide, right? That community-based solutions to violence work. And the CAC has some of the first data that was published about this. So I could talk to y'all all night about the CAC. It's been my honor to be a part of it. It's been my honor to share this story of just a tiny slice of the history that's been created through the CAC in this space with you all. These are some of the wonderful people, the CAC EC. Really appreciate y'all and y'all's dedication. But yeah, I'm here for questions or anything like that, but just had to share with you the foundation of the space we're in today. Thank you.
I need y'all to do better than that. This brother put 15 years in 15 minutes. Can y'all clap for the Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council? Miles, you did it again. You rocked it, and that's really what it's all about. And so you need to understand, we don't just meet, we work on a constant basis, on a volunteer basis. And so for all of you all that are educators inside the building, thank you for what you do. Know that we have your back, and this is why we do what we do. And when we talk about the data, we often say that we shouldn't ask people for dollars without data. We shouldn't seek money without metrics, and we certainly shouldn't try to expand without evaluation. And as a result of us going through the IRB and the RRB process, we were able to do those surveys in 2015 and 2018. What Miles didn't get the opportunity to tell you, but 2,500 students were eligible. You want to know what's amazing? A 127-question anonymous youth survey where we were the proctors, black people, parents, brown people, students, loved ones. They came to be the proctors. They were trained, and because of our principals who allowed us to go into school, because of the district who trusted us to be able to do this, here's the good news. In 2015, out of all of those students, we were able to make a record. We created a record. It was amazing. A 72% response rate with all of those students. Y'all ought to clap better than that. 6th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and 12th grade. And then we wanted a cyclical process to be sure that the programs we put in place, do they work or not? That's where the evaluation is baked in partnership with our friends at the University of Chicago. And it's been really, really exciting. We did it again 3 years later. And what happened? We received, out of all of those students, it went from a 72% response rate to an 81% response rate. Y'all ought to clap for that. Come on, nobody And people are asking me around the country, Pastor Harris, how did you get schools and young people and adults to do what we call research? We made them a promise. We promise you will not be treated like lab rats. Because you know, since the days of Tuskegee, black people don't play research. But it was owned by us, driven by us. Y'all clap for this. And it was led by us. And most of all, it was for us. And as a result, the MacArthur Foundation gave us $1 million. $1 million. Y'all ain't clapping yet. I didn't say 20. I didn't say 100. Y'all ain't clapping enough of that. $1 million. And they say, Pastor Harris, what keeps you awake at night? The fact that we have built a 70-plus school-based, faith-based, community-based organization, collaborative, and we don't have any carrots to keep them at the table. They gave us $1 million. And the Lord told me, I have no apology saying that, give most of it away. Alderman Pat Dowell, if she was here tonight, she would tell you, she called me. And she said, Pastor Harris, I know we have legalized weed in Chicago. Have you been smoking it? That was a real question she really asked me. She said, because who gets $1 million for Bright Star Community Outreach and you give most of it away? Someone who believes in the principle of collaboration. And in one of my favorite books, she said, 1 can chase 1,000, 2 can put 10,000 to flight. Clap if you believe we're better together. That's why we did it. And we funded the community-based organizations that serve the schools, and we gave more than $624,000 to the community-based organizations in our community. Jamila, would you stand? She got them big checks. Y'all ought to clap right there. Come on. Girls mentorship, y'all ought to clap. And we passed those out, and I hope y'all will clap faster. We're going to get some more money, y'all. Clap for that. That's what it's all about. It's not enough for us to say that the system is broken. It's not enough for us to say money is strained. But the question is, what can we do to find resources? And here's what I believe. I firmly believe that we have a responsibility to create relationships that turn into resources for the residents within our reach. And what we need are not just resources, we need vision. And that's why tonight I'm super excited to present to you all the interim CEO and superintendent of Chicago Public Schools. Would you please inconvenience yourself on purpose, stand on your feet, and clap your hands for this powerful black sister leading our system. Come on, make some noise.
Good evening, everybody. It is my absolute pleasure to be here. This is actually home for me. Chris already knows this, but I lived on 40th and Oakenwall before the nice townhomes. It was 4040. It was the high rise. And I'm pretty sure I probably ran past Bright Star a couple of times when my father didn't know I was outside. So this is really special. And being in the room, I see so many familiar faces, people that I have worked with over the 30-plus years that I've been in Chicago Public Schools. But that makes this work all the more enjoyable because I know that this is a journey and it's not a sprint. And working with Pastor Harris, I'm so excited. I've always stalked the GBCAC online, so I was one of those online attendees, but always curious about the work because I always knew that you all were consistent. You always had an agenda, and you always moved forward. And so I've always watched for a distance. So I'm honored to stand here before you and to be able to serve you in a capacity that advances the work that you all stand for. So I'm going to is the presentation ready? I'm first going to give you all some highlights of the work that has been happening with my wonderful team within the 10 weeks that I've been at Chicago Public Schools as interim. So we've been very busy. And so, next slide, please. So I'm still anchoring, this district, we're anchoring the work around the work that's already there. We're not changing anything. We're going to take the foundation that was laid and move that forward. And you can see the apple in the core. And just like Pastor Harris said, identity, relationships, and community. That is my core as well. It is all about the community. How do you foolproof the work that you're doing? You make sure the community is strong so that regardless of who's in charge, because I'll go, because I told y'all I said 30 plus something years at CPS, I'm told at some point I'll transition, but we'll empower you to advocate and to stand so that regardless of who's in the CEO suite, regardless who's in the mayor's office or who's in the president's office, you all will have what you need to be able to continue this work for the next generation that's coming behind you. So the objectives of this meeting is definitely connect and deepen with the community, the Bronzeville CAC community. Make sure that you all are aware of my vision and the work that we want to move forward during my tenure, and discuss key updates for the SY26 school year. So coming into the role, I had two major priorities and goals, and you all, that's all I ate and slept, was passing a balanced budget and then making sure schools opened on time and safely and smoothly. And there's a team of people in this room that was responsible. I can't take credit for that by myself. Vision and priorities going forward. The federal deployment is something that I'm going to touch on, and then definitely responding to any questions that you all might have. So a strong start to the school year. Schools opened so well, and you all, this means something to me. President Stacey Gates told me, good job. I'm proud of that. I got it in writing, too. I have that in writing. So I know I did a good job. And then we passed a budget. We finally passed a budget that held schools' budgets that they received intact, in place, so that there would not be any changes. That was really important to me as a former principal as well. So the successful back to school, we want to start there with shouting out some of the departments. I know we're going to get to the network chiefs. Let me know that I did not shout out, so we'll do a special shout out for the individual networks. But for the back to school bashes, we hosted more than 8,000 individuals across the entire city. And thank you all, those of you who've come out. I know that a lot of the CACs you all do, you support the back to school bashes, and I know that some of the schools had individual bashes, and we're extremely grateful for your support. The Billiken Parade, the Fiesta del Sol. Unfortunately, this would have been like my first Bud Billiken as CEO, and I missed it, but that's okay. Maybe next year? So talent and staffing. You all, when we talk about schools on the south and west sides, those are normally the schools that are hardest to staff. But we opened the school year with a vacancy rate of 2.46, but it's now down to 2%, which means that our classrooms have highly qualified teachers in front of them, and we have a 2% vacancy rate. And you can see over the years, those school closings back in 2013, we lost most of our black teachers. But you can see we're making inroads. We're back, 52% of our teachers are now black and Latinx, up from those years. So we're working on those pipelines of making sure that our students have people that look like them in front of them. Office for Students with Disabilities. I know you all may have heard a lot of concerns about that, but in all actuality, what you can read the bullets, but what I want to highlight is that oftentimes the classrooms that don't have the special education teachers or the SICAs are often on the south and the west sides. And so this transition ensured that we did go down from 2 SICAs because we have always over-allocated. The state only requires 1. But to ensure that we spread the love of those special education SICAs, we dropped down to 1. Not to rob the classroom, but we know that if you're a principal, where are the principals in the building? Former principals too. 1, don't hide, you all know. Now what we're seeing is an increase of classrooms where students each come with their own individual assistant. And so if you visit classrooms, you might notice that there could be 6 adults in a classroom that's maxed out at 13. And so in order to have other classrooms across the city be able to have access to resources, that was a shift. So it might sound like it's cost saving, but it's actually equitable to ensure that students that need those services actually have access to them. So that's the Office of Disability, Student with Disability. Operations, you all, I did not eat that pizza, but don't tell. But we know that with the shift, there was this concern that students lost hot meals. They did not. Each school still receives a hot meal. It is that's right. And that's cauliflower, turkey, pepperoni, but it's hot. But it's in the after-school programs we've transitioned to snacks. So that is where some of the concern came. But you can see that the advances, everything we're sticking with, that 5-year strategic plan, that's what we're operating from, moving to transition to implement the 5-year strategic plan. Next slide. And operations. So we safely transported over 10,000 students to schools on the first day, and that is ongoing. I'm sure that number has increased. So onboarding students to transportation is something that happens all throughout the year, and serving more than 2,000 students, more than 2,000 than last year. And then we're also, something that's important to me is we prioritize students that have received special education services and students that are in the STLS program, students in temporary living situations. But we're also going to try to ramp up hub stops late fall, late winter. And the reason for that, those are parents that utilize transportation for some of the magnet and selective enrollment schools. And people say, why do you support that? Well, I was one of those parents who my kid had to get on that bus to go to school because I had to go to work. So, you know, and we know that we're in a budget crisis, but I think Pastor had talked about it. We have to remove anything that divides us as a community. All right. Because our students deserve it. So we'll just find a way to accommodate and support all of our parents and all of our students, regardless of school type or whether private school or charter school. We have to remove those barriers that separate us. So crossing guards, let me go back to the crossing guards too, because that was another challenge that we had. Crossing guards and safe passage. We did not remove crossing guards from Chicago Public Schools. The only crossing guards that were removed were those of private schools, and we had some that were outside of Chicago city limits. So those are things that you necessarily don't hear in sound bites, but that's where some of the loss. And then we adjusted. But the Chief Mayfield worked with the schools, and we did have to adjust. So some of the schools may have gone from 5 crossing guards to 4 or 3 to 2, but that was all done in collaboration with the school leaders. And safe passage, we changed some of the hours. Again, just shifting some of the safe passage workers around. Not ideal. It's not ideal, but we didn't have to make any more cuts, and that's what our budget honored. Next slide. The Office of Network Support. So here are some of their shout outs. You know, they led the Back to School Command Center, which was very important. In order to have a successful start to the school year, we had to know what was happening on the ground. And ONS launched the Command Center, and that's how we were able to keep track with what the needs were. Next slide. Oh, and the Back to School, all of the central office staff that went out to help support with the opening of school. Next slide. Office of College and Career Success. This is a department that all of the CAC members should be very familiar with. When we talk about career pathways, this is a department that you all should definitely have more information on. But these are some of their shout outs. They supported the direct needs of schools, so Back to School Week, CCS, school-based positions where staff and funds were distributed prior to day one. Celebrated a ribbon cutting at Collins Academy STEAM program. That was actually work that I facilitated with the North Lawndale CAC. Not Collins, that was North Lawndale. But, and then celebrated Simeon CTE receiving $100,000 grant from Chance the Rapper. Teaching and learning, this is all the professional development that all of the staff members were getting ready to receive our babies on day one. And new teacher orientation, that's also something that should always be on your radar in schools. Who are those new teachers and what supports are they receiving? Next slide. Office of Multilingual, Multi-Education. Back to school, I'm gonna highlight here. The educators' sessions at New Teacher Orientation, International Teacher Orientation, Skyline, Bilingual Teacher Assistance and Orientation, and more. So we're also working, and this is something that may be on your radar, to extending the dual language program at school, world language programs. That's something as you're thinking about your schools within the Bronzeville community. What is it that you need? What options do you need to have available to the students within this area? Office of Early Childhood. This is one of my favorite departments, you all. I don't know, it's because it's the babies. It's the babies, but enrolled more than 3,000 students in summer programming with an 85% fill rate. That's really important, you all, given those the foundation that they need. Currently 16,000 students in pre-K with an 85% fill rate, supported 45 pre-K teachers in new teacher orientation. And another thing that we do is we provide a $1.5 million scholarship to teachers that are students that are interested in becoming pre-K early childhood teachers. And so that's another one of the shout outs that's not here for the Office of Early Childhood. Next slide. So balanced budgets that protect schools. This is right out the gate, week one. People said it was aggressive. They said we couldn't do it. But we stood up each and every last one of these community sessions because I was not going to go into a budget not hearing from the community. That meant staff, parents, students, elected officials. We were very aggressive, and we made sure that the feedback that we gathered during those sessions was used to drive that budget, and you can see yourselves in that budget. So you may have heard often that we talked about the community feedback because that's what's missing. We will not, in this administration, engage you, talk to you, hear from you, gather feedback, and do nothing with it. That's not part of two of our main values, communication and transparency. And so this was most important to me, and everybody showed up and everybody participated. And so the work that you see in the budget is only the beginning. As we move to implement, you'll continue to see us operate based on the feedback that we received during those community feedback sessions. Next slide. So this budget fully protects the school budgets that the schools received back in May. It funds all of our CPS contractual obligations with our labor partners. Shout out to CPAA, their first contract. They are now bargaining units. No mid-year cuts. It includes borrowing only if we need it. We have the option available to us. And it allows CPS to reimburse the city if we receive additional revenue. And the board passed the budget last Thursday, August 28th, and so now we are moving into the implementation phase. So you all, this is what it looks like. So previously, we were looking at the projected gap. That's what we were looking at long term. And so with the new budget, we made a lot of structural cuts, a lot of structural changes, meaning that those savings will be realized each year after the FY26 school year. And so you can see the impact. Now, we still have a lot of work to do with the state and other elected officials to secure increased revenue for Chicago Public Schools, because that's the challenge. We do not have ways to raise additional revenue. But with some of the changes that we made now, those can be realized over time. Next page. Next slide. So what's next? My new goals that I'm focused on is the student experience. And so if you think about the student, If you think about what experience a student is having in any building, in any classroom, in any school across the city, if that's what we're using to drive the change, it's going to be very informative. And it also allows for us to think about the uniqueness and diversity that this city brings with all of our children. So using the Together We Rise 5-year strategic plan, we will be making sure that instruction and our plans are rigorous, joyous, equitable, and meaningful. And so we get there through meetings like with the CAC, the local school councils, the BAC, the PACs. Your voices are going to be very important. And with the CPS team that we have, we're here to work with you. We just need to think about what does that cadence of communication looks like, and how do we always come back and progress monitor and check in on how well we're doing and moving towards that centering the student experience. Ensuring long-term financial stability. Another important aspect of CACs, the BACs, the PACs, and local school council, and everybody else, you all, we will need you. We will need to advocate at the state level when the time comes. We cannot sit back and just talk about it's broken, it sounds like it's broken, it might be broken, it's always been broken. You all, it's time to not just fix it, but to stabilize it. The problem has to end here. So with a crisis, there always brings opportunity. And this is our opportunity. I always talk about reimagining the district. This is our opportunity. You have everybody in the room. You have the elected officials. You have interfaith. You have parents. You have community-based organizations. This is what you need. And we need to bring the students into the space. Because I don't know about you all, but I don't know what some of they think and value anymore. I'm so far removed now. I'm like, what? What's that new word? I don't know what that means. So, but we need them. In order for them to take advantage of the resources and opportunities, we need to make sure that it's high interest and is definitely preparing them for 21st century. So we have to bring the students into the space too. Next slide. Other way. The other direction? Yeah. We're going the wrong way. One more time. Again, keep going the other way. Yeah, federal deployment. So I'm really excited about our response to the federal deployment because I think that it encourages me for the other work that we have to do. We are working collaboratively with the mayor's office, CTU, CPAA, and SEIU, and we stood in solidarity to say that our communities are safe. We may have a differing of opinion or a different approach, but when it comes to protecting our babies across the city, we are united in that. So we are working in collaboration to support schools, send out, protocols, identify what our roles are if there is a need to ramp up response, working with our network chiefs, our principals, security officers, everyone, so that we know how to respond in the event that there is an incident at the school. I'm also working with Superintendent Carvalho, LA Unified, working with the Chancellor in New York. I haven't made contact with DC, but just to learn from them as we, tailor our response to the needs of Chicago Public Schools. So we have strong protocols in place. We're constantly sending out information, and that's going to be something that you can expect to constantly bringing you up to date, informing you of what's happening in real time, because we know in the absence of information, people will create a story. So we are going to do our best to make sure that you all are informed and updated as our protocols are developed. So, that's our response, but just make sure you stay connected. Visit the website if you're a parent or a community-based organization that have the receive our email. If you don't, let us know. We will gladly make sure that you're connected to updates. Next slide. These are some of the links which you all can't click right now, but they're available. And we can make this presentation available, Pastor Harris. And so I know Pastor Harris is going to lead us into Q&A. Am I this way? Yes, please.
Thank you. Could y'all do me a favor? Go crazy for our superintendent. I need y'all to do a little bit more. Come on. We are super duper grateful to have someone who has integrity and an individual. I'm just glad that the system is led by a black woman. I didn't apologize about what I just said. Y'all go crazy for black sisters and black women like our Chief Mason. There are a couple of things that you all don't know, and I will just go ahead and just share. I don't know if they know how long we go back, and I'm really grateful. I know this about Superintendent King. She is amazing in communication. She is amazing when it comes to education. She's also unbelievable when it comes to innovation. What she is not necessarily good at is intonation. Now, what does that mean? That's singing. What y'all don't know is I was her minister of music when I was 18 years old. And so I'm 51 now. We go 30 years.
Don't make me break out in my broken alto.
But she was faithful. And God helped us through it all. And so you know, here's what he does. He puts you in lanes that you can drive in. And we are so grateful for you tonight. You know, there's a few burning questions tonight, and the way that we want to do this, because you came tonight and we want our superintendent to be able to hear from you all. So if you have a question, the way that we're going to do it, we have some prescribed questions that we had previously that we're going to ask, but we're going to make sure we maximize the time and put your questions in the midst of that. We don't want to make you wait till the end. So if you have a burning question, if you will come and stand over here at this mic in line, and our staff will help you all to know who's going to go next. Again, it's good for you to move now. If we do not get to all of your questions, if we don't get to all of your questions, please know that we will allow them to be written down. Now, let me be very clear. Everybody say a question is a question, not a speech. Clap your hands for that right now. So we have gifted staff that's back there in the sound booth. And the moment your question doesn't sound like a question, it goes mute. Something happens with the mic, it just dies. And we don't want to do that to you. And so tonight, Superintendent, as the interim CEO of CPS, what are your top 3 priorities? I know that you gave us some of those things, but ensuring that student success during this transitional period will be paramount.
So the student experience is very important to me. And as a principal, I always chose to work in an underserved community because I felt like all students deserved a high-quality education. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the CIDT, which is the new school improvement tool. So that is one goal of mine, is to ensure that community, parents, teachers, principals fully understand the CIDT. What's most important about that, and I don't remember what that acronym stands for. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Continuous improvement data transfer.
Right there, that's what it is.
That is Dr. Jazz.
But what's important about that tool is that it holds the district accountable for the resources that are going into the schools before we hold you accountable for metrics. So I did serve on the stakeholder engagement design team that created that tool. So in my opinion, it's very important to ensure that that tool is up and running and that all of the stakeholders are familiar with that tool and how to leverage that tool to ensure that the resources are flowing into the school before we hold schools accountable, but we can also impact the outcomes.
So when you talk about, what did you call it, CIDT? CIDT. And what was that again, Dr. Jazz?
Continuous improvement and data transfer.
Continuous improvement and data transparency. We want to let the folks that are not just on the scene know, but those that are watching on the screen understand that this vernacular is so very important. If I don't see anybody in line over here, I will continue to move forward. So we come into this one next. Let me just say this. CPS, and I'll just honestly admit this, over the 15 years that I've been a part of the CAG, chairman of the CAG, it feels like CPS, like the city in a lot of ways, has been constantly run by a temp agency. No consistent leadership. And every time there's a new leader, there's a new vision. Every time there's a new leader, there's a new team. Every time there's a new leader, it's a new direction. And there's no consistency. And as a result, parents, staffers, trust has been eroded. What is your plan to bridge the gap between the district and parents to rebuild that trust?
Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the other goals that I left off, but I do believe that it's really important to strengthen CACs and expand.
Clap for that, CAC. Come on now, we like to hear that.
It's important to build up and strengthen local school councils, as well as the PACs and the BACs. And the reason being is we need to ensure that there are ways for CPS leadership, myself included, and other central office leaders to tap into the parents and the community experience. So in building trust, my communication to team leaders is that we're going to be transparent. And so sometimes if you all ever hear me saying, Abba, 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 I'm trying my best to say the truth in the best possible way, because I do feel like it is important to be transparent. So we will be, as we move forward with some of you saw when I came out with the budget, I just gave you just straight. And so I think that it's important to communicate often, and communicate honestly, but then to be in community. So one of the things that is important to me is to show up in person and to have a presence. So I don't know if you all knew that there was ICE agents set up on Curie's parking lot, right? And so we went beyond a memo, because a memo does not make people feel comfortable. We hopped on a call last night, we being leadership. We took our protocol, and then we said, who owns this, who owns that, who's going to be there, and all of our network staff, all of our everybody was out there. You all didn't hear anything about, attendance was up, over 3,000 students, only 100 were absent.
Wow, wow.
So we can have the memo, we can put out the protocols, but in order to build trust, we have to have a presence. So our words and our actions have to align, and that's what you're going to see from us.
You know, I often say that people absolutely can't appreciate your absence until they feel your presence. And what's amazing to me tonight is the fact that you value community action councils in a way where you showed up way quicker than a lot of our previous CEOs. We ought to clap for that. We are grateful for, y'all know I don't mind calling it out just like it is, and we thank you for valuing us. I want to come to the microphone and ask your question. Say your name and ask your question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see you, Superintendent King. My name is Tawanda Parker. I am a CPS employee and a proud member of Chicago Teachers Union. So I had a question around the bullet point about the city, the board being able to reimburse the pension fund if additional revenue comes into play. Question, what happens if the if is not there? Because that's something that's always being talked about. People have lots of questions about. Just really wanted to know what that looks like. I do understand that, that takes a unified thing, but again, you have a lot of people that are asking when now there's a two-tier system that we're being told, those of us in tier 2, we're going to get less money than people in Social Security, which for people who may not know, if you work for CPS, you do not pay into Social Security, so that's all you've got when you retire.
Let me give her a chance to answer this question. Come on.
So making the MBA-BF payment or not does not impact your pension.
Okay.
this will not impact pensions at all. So I want to say that first and foremost. Next, within our budget, there is a provision for us to make the MEABF payment if we receive additional dollars. And so that could come in the form of TIF. You know, that was a big, controversy. If not, we do have the ability to take a loan if needed.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there's a constant question around equity, because a lot of the narrative is that if you live in a certain zip code or certain side of the city, you don't get the same level of funding. And the question of equity constantly comes up at the Community Action Council table. Can you speak to that? And if you have a vision to make funding more equitable across all schools?
Mm-hmm. I hope this makes sense because it makes sense in my head. So when I think about the student experience, if we were to walk into a school building, let's just pick a school, any school within Bronzeville that we feel needs additional services or resources, and then we went to, let's say, a school on the north side, or there could even be some, even right there, right on the south side. If we take two students, same grade, dedicated to CPS, their entire time, let's just say third grade or sixth grade, and we look at their student experience and it's drastically different. Why? Because if we say we're looking at the student experience, it removes it's the building is underutilized. That's why you all don't have the additional funding. Well, we're looking at the people. We're looking at the students. So how do we bring every student's experience to such that it gives them the same opportunity as it gives other students because of zip code? So I think one way is framing how we're talking about equity. We're talking about people. I think we have to start putting faces. Yes. When you talk about dollars, there's faces. When you talk about equity, there's faces. When you talk about programming, these are faces. Cuts, those are faces. So one of the things I do think that the CIDT does, I think, is that it will hold the district accountable for resources. And so I push, everybody knows, I push. What are we doing? So for me, monitoring the resources that are going into CPS, and then also I think that this hasn't happened yet, but we have to say there has to be a minimum level of resources and experiences that we're willing to give our students. I can make it real simple. Restrooms. Everybody should have a very basic restroom experience, right? For one, I think every restroom should have a mirror. My bathroom experience is messed up, right? I'm just saying, but you think about it, that is a very important part of your school day. If we just start with restrooms, do all of our students have an equitable experience when they have to go to the restroom? Is there hot water? Are there towels? So when we start talking about the student experience, we can just say, hey, let's focus on this goal right now and make sure all schools, all students are going to have an equitable experience. So I think we have to start talking about a minimum level, a minimum standard, and from there we work with schools and communities to build up from there. So I think that that's one thing that I would like to do. But again, it was going to require the work of community, because we don't have line of sight in all of the schools. We just don't. We need community, we need parents, we need that input. And so that's why strengthening CACs, local school council PACs, you all have to be our eyes and ears on behalf of the students that reside in your neighborhood or your children. We just have to have that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people always talk about the fact that schools are performing. They talk about them being underutilized, but nobody want to talk about the fact that they are under-resourced. And we have to hold everybody accountable. One of the challenges that I'm concerned about, and we'll come to this particular question, I want to give you at least 3 minutes to think about it, is the fact that now with the board having 21 members, how do you get anybody to agree on anything? And a lot of times when elephants fight, it is the grass that perish. And we have to really be concerned about not only holding the district accountable, holding you accountable as a leader, but also the board members. And now we're at a place where the fifth floor gets to point the finger at everybody else. Say, it wasn't our decision. And so we have to be thinking about it as stakeholders to say, how do we hold everybody involved accountable, including those that are downstate? Next question. Say your name and ask your question.
My name is Omari Moore. Thank you, Dr. King, for being here. Thank you, Pastor Harris, for inviting, community-based organizations to the meeting. My primary question is around the federal intervention and how CPS is going to be working with local law enforcement. I'm particularly concerned around, interactions with Black and brown students and the police. I would like to know if y'all have any sort of plans around that. I know you mentioned working with the mayor's office, but specifically working with local law enforcement.
So we do notify Chicago Police Department if there were an incident. But if I go back to the Curie incident that happened yesterday, so we see ourselves in Chicago Public Schools, we message that the safest place for our students is in schools, and that's regardless of whatever the incident is. There are trusted adults in those buildings that are ready and prepared to take care of our students. So what we did was we provide insulation within the school. The network goes out, the face specialist goes out, and anybody else that we need to provide supports. We have either a whole school safety team, sanctuary team, depending on the school, to insulate that school and protect the school. Externally, this is where community becomes very important. We reach out and collaborate and work with the community-based organizations. In the case of Curie, it was BPNC, Brighton Park Neighborhood Council. So we insulate the schools, that's what we do. We keep the babies inside, but we need community, which is what you all are doing. We need you all to create a force field around that school. So we'll do what we do, but we need community, and we have not been using Chicago Police to do that. We're relying on our community-based organizations, interfaith, those are the people that we're relying on to create that force field around the school.
We absolutely love our teachers in the greater Bronzeville community. Could you go crazy for all of our educators? Y'all make a little bit of noise for them. They work hard, they're overworked and underpaid. And so how could you implement more opportunities for the network to consider unique teacher and school needs for more collaboration between the two?
So can you say that again,
When you talk about the collaboration between the teachers and the schools, one of the things that we've always talked about is the fact that teachers, unfortunately, are asked to be educators, mental health workers, parents in some cases, food and clothing providers. What else do y'all tend to be? Babysitters, I hear names, all these things. So all of those things. And when we narrow it down into the schools and say, here is what teachers need, how do we focus better on that? Not just you, not just the district, but the community in collaboration with you.
I think that's where the local school council, like when we think about the niche that each of the different parent organizations have, because it's different from school to school. So what I experienced when I worked in Woodlawn was very different from my experience, that's right, from my experience when I worked in Uptown. And so the local school councils have line of sight on parents because, the pressure that a parent can put on you, a parent group is very different. And then there's some parents that be like, I need you all just to take care of everything. But our local school councils, because there's a teacher rep on the local school council, I think that's where the magic can happen with collaboration between the teachers and the schools. But if I could reimagine schools, I know this is not popular, but I think we really should have either half days return or a full day at least once a month. I think that to your point of the load that not just teachers, but education assistants as well, the loads are huge, and the schools have become like a little microcosm of a home. They do a little bit of everything, but we really don't value the time that goes into the planning. But I think that local school councils know those schools best, where they're up and operating. They know those schools best, they know those teachers, and they know the students, and they know the parents around them, the pressures that those unique schools will bring to those teachers. But I do think that if I could have my way, we would really rethink how we provide time and planning for teachers.
Now, we realize that you have been there a short time, and I'll go ahead and say I hope you'll be there for a long time. But let me just say, you talk about a microcosm of a home. It's kind of hard to learn in a home, live in a home where the roof is leaking, no air conditioning, lack of technology. And when we think about the huge number that has been reported saying a lot of the schools are dysfunctional, the facility, is there any thought or plan? Of course, you can't do everything overnight, but I'm sure you've thought about this because in 30 years at CPS, you also know that this is an issue. Is there any thought around how we can get these buildings either back to a place where you can provide quality education or identify resources like corporations and the philanthropic community? Any ideas around that?
I have a couple. So the reason we will need your support when we go downstate is we have to find additional revenue sources for Chicago Public Schools. We just have to. The budget to repair our buildings or bring them back up to just code is huge. So that's going to require a dedicated revenue source where we're not just trying not to make cuts, you know. So working with the elected officials within City Hall, but then the state, I was so glad to see those state legislatures. We will be having a breakfast with them. Amen. Thank you very much. So we have a legislative agenda that we're going to be moving forward, and we'll definitely come back out and share that legislative agenda and share with you how you can be helpful and to support us moving forward. But we need a dedicated revenue source. And we don't need schools competing. You know, there's so many, and they're basically, it's like the Hunger Games to get the funds. So that's what we're going to have to do. So we will be leaning into you with that. The other thing is I think that the conditions of the buildings, it impacts our enrollment. And I say this everywhere I go, I have a problem with Chicago dropping to the 4th largest school district in the country. We're now the 4th. So what I think would bring families back, we do need really 21st century buildings. I saw, was it Dylan? I saw Dylan with the camera, and I thought about technology and the film. Chicago has a very robust film industry. You all know it all the time. They're filming on the streets of Chicago. We need a pathway. Dylan is filming. I know Corliss has won some awards in California for they produced a whole series on YouTube.
You notice he coming around with the camera now.
That's right. That's right.
That's a smart man.
Dylan's making sure all of our online attendees have a front row seat. So where's the pathway if that's what Dylan wanted to pursue, right? Whether it's acting, the film, you know, stunt double, whatever it is. So I think that we need to have buildings that are conducive for pathways that are really 21st century, high interest for students. And so one of the memos I'm going to put out and I can float with you all is I do want to work with philanthropy on a state-of-the-art building for just that, because we do have so many students that are talented in the arts, even I dare say gifted. We always recognize the academic giftedness of our students, but we have students that are, it may be oratory, it may be visual arts, but we don't really have a pathway for that. And I feel like a lot of the philanthropic community would be interested in supporting a brand new building around that. And I think it would also bring a lot of parents back to Chicago Public Schools.
So all of you all, and I think we got to hold ourselves accountable, right? Because one of the things that I firmly believe is vision is foresight with insight based on hindsight. right? And we need vision, but you also need legs that run with the vision. So if we were to put together a plan, Greater Bronzeville Community Action Council stakeholders, if we were to put together a plan based on the vision and in partnership with the district, clap if you would show up to help us to go downstate. Clap if you would recruit parents to go downstate. I don't see many people. Come on, clap if you would come to those meetings. This is really what it's all about. And those of you all that are watching us on Facebook or YouTube, it is our prayer that you would say in the chat right now, in the comment section, I'd love to be involved, because that's what we really need. More people to get informed, more people to get inspired, and most of all, get involved. Give us your name and give us your question.
Sure, Dory Collins. Thank you for your time, and Pastor Harris for the opportunity. My question is, as the interim, what are your plans? Are you officially a candidate now to be the superintendent of the district?
Who put her up
I'd
to
like
that?
to know.
Who
Yes.
did that?
I'd like to know. I'd like to know, and then also, what support do you need from the community if that is your decision?
Clap if you want the answer to this question. Clap, clap, clap louder. Come on, make some noise if you want. And I'll help you out a little bit here, because we don't want to put you on the spot, kind of. Are you open to it?
I am definitely open to it. I really focused on...
Wait, there's a clap right there. I'm open to it. Y'all clap better. We doing good tonight. Breaking news at the GB Cat. We got it tonight. I'm open to it. That's what we wanted to hear.
Well, y'all put me out there now. I haven't told anybody but to put me out there. I am open. It's been 10 weeks. It was a very challenging 10 weeks. I love Chicago, and I love Chicago Public Schools. And I've committed 33 years to Chicago Public Schools. So it was an easy decision to make to step into the role. But y'all tough. This is a heavy lift. It's challenging, but with good people, it's doable. It really is doable. So I am open. That's all I can say, because we're in church.
Y'all clap for open. We'll take that all day long. Now, I think the question, and I love that you asked the question, what do you need from us, right? And I think as we continue the dialogue, as we continue to talk with you, I just think we have a responsibility to support, cover, and protect good leadership. I'll take 4 more claps on that one. I think at some point you do have to say to the powers that be, don't touch that one. Like, just give it some time, right? Allow this level of leadership, this level of integrity, this level of commitment. 33 years? That is noteworthy all by itself. 33 years of commitment to a system, which means you've been in it, you know it, and we're grateful to have someone like you. What would you say are a few top things that you would need from us?
I think you all kind of touched on it. This is a job that, in my opinion, you can't go alone. And the work that needs to go forward, especially for our community, it requires voices. It requires feet, movement. We gotta walk. You gotta walk into it. And so, I participated in this one program, and they were like, "Why do you do this?" I truly feel like my ancestry requires this of me.
Wow.
So, I stood on the shoulders of someone, and someone died for me to go to school. Yeah. So regardless of how many times I go to school, as much as you all, I don't like graduations, I will walk across that stage because someone died for me to be able to do that. And so it is my duty to stand side by side with Pastor Harris and everybody else in this room for the next generation. But if I don't have someone standing with me side by side, taking this journey, it becomes increasingly difficult. And I think that's why we get what you talked about, the revolving door, the inconsistencies. But the power is not in the CEO's suite.
That's right.
it's out here. And so I think that what I would need, if I were going to pursue, I would need a commitment from community that you all are going to stand and advocate and then help to support our students to stand and to advocate.
I think that is powerful, and clap if you're making that commitment tonight to stand, not just with leadership, but for leadership. We have a question here. Say your name and ask your question.
Rodney Patterson. My question is kind of related to the previous question in that I feel like of all the things that you talked about tonight, what impressed me the most was your ability to balance the budget. Phenomenal. And if for no other reason, you should be the next superintendent for that one.
True.
No, in all seriousness, here's a question. Usually when you take that kind of hit in a system, in a district, within any school, it's going to impact morale and engagement. How are you doing that?
So I am only as good as my team. And so there's a lot of talent at Chicago Public Schools. I cannot take credit for everything that you saw. I was the face of it. But I leaned into the expertise that was already in the room, in that space. And you have a lot of people here. Like, I couldn't open all those schools by myself. So one of the things that you do want to do is you want to retain the talent. And so I didn't come in with an idea of, you know, what I wanted to do. I knew what I had to do. And then I went into the space like, y'all, what we got? What's going on? What do you know? What happened before? So I went in learning and asking questions, and I merged that with what I did know and what we needed to get done. But relationships are key. So building relationships, maintaining relationships is very important. Even though there may be disagreement in the approach and, you know, and maybe other things, but maintaining relationships are key. So with most of my colleagues here that I work with, everybody that I've ever worked with, we all walk up and hug because I believe in maintaining relationships, because that's in education, that's key.
I'll clap for that. After this last question, then I want you to talk a little bit about Black student success. It was hard, fought for, and the reality is parents, students, and teachers worked hard toward this. And we want to talk about what could be done to ensure that this initiative remains a core part of the priority, and just ask, is it? And what are your thoughts about Black student success? Your name and the last question.
My name is Dr. Sherrod. I am part of the Inglewood CAC program, but I also service youth inside the 17th and 16th Ward. And so my question is, I heard you talk about your 21st century plan and moving students in buildings. If I can just give any inkling of adding like a pin to that, is just the global concept. A lot of our students barely leave the south side of Chicago to go downtown, but I do know that there are so many opportunities. I'm part of the UN, but there are so many opportunities for students to travel, go to global conferences, even the work that you have, compete on a global level. Just even having that mindset, if I can put a pin in that, or if you have that in your thought process, or if you're just focusing on it right now, but if that is something that you can do to just kind of do that, even if it's global clubs in these schools, just opening. I do the American Red Cross Youth Humanitarian Law team as well too, but just putting that piece so that they can think outside of the box here, but have a broader sense as well too.
Yeah, that's a great point. Global 21st century opportunities. I think Pastor Harris, I don't know if you talked about this, or what was the gentleman's name that went before me? Miles. One of the things that I do bring with me is my work from City Hall. There are so many opportunities and resources that go unrealized that we do need to bring into community and make sure that schools and students and families have access to them. And so with the work with CACs, LSCs, I think that there has to be a very intentional connection with a lot of the departments at the mayor's office, and I'm sure probably at the state level too, all of these resources that go unutilized because there's no connection to them. And I think Miles even said it, you don't know about them. And so oftentimes, we're looking for someone, I would be looking for someone to utilize or take advantage of some of these resources. But I do feel like that is definitely something that we can put a pin in, because I'm in agreement with you.
As we close, Black student success, give us your thoughts on that, and we're getting ready to wrap up.
Mm-hmm. The Black student success, we're in the phase of implementing. We do have to ensure that we have funds, this is funding crisis, but it is going to be funded. It may look a little different, but we need to make sure that within each of the schools, and this is something that the Bronzeville CAC can, and I'm sure with Chief Mason, you all will be working to ensure that there is a committee stood up. And what does it look like authentically, you all? So this is not a hitch type of thing. We're working to make sure that it is authentically integrated into the schools. But I think that you should see that each of the schools should have a committee dedicated to authentically making sure that that's a living, breathing document within the schools.
Y'all clap for that. Let me say this, and we're done. I just want to share that I think we need all of you all, could y'all clap for the principals and our leaders of our schools who came here tonight. I need y'all to do a little bit better than that. Come on. After a full day, you came to hang out with us today. And here is our commitment as a Community Action Council, and to our network chiefs, thank you all, the network representation. Here is our commitment. We are going to move really, really fast. And we're asking every school, every principal, to assign at least 7 people representing your school. Principal, assistant principal. We need a teacher. No, I think we wanted 2 teachers. We want 2 parents, an LSC member, a PAC member. Tonight I get to learn another acronym. What is a BAC? I couldn't hear you. No, a B. But excuse me, everybody, 1 second. Come on, Dr. Jazz. Bilingual Action Council. Gracias. And so it's so important that we understand these acronyms. And so we need each school to assign this 7 to 8 group of stakeholders to be members of the Community Action Council. That's how we're building the structure, and this is how we're going to move forward. I cannot thank enough our CEO and superintendent, who is currently interim, but hopefully long-term, y'all give it up for our own Dr. Macklin King. Come on, give us a standing ovation. Dr. King, any last words to us?
I just want to thank you all for having me, and this will not be the last time. And I am making sure that there's someone on my team to support the CACs, the ones that are in existence, and the ones that we hope that are going to be launching pretty soon. So you have my commitment to the CACs, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you all move forward. And do you mind if I just announce
Absolutely.
this to the people online and here for immigration resources, cps.edu/immigration. But then also we're going to get one of those too for the Black student.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're going to have the resources soon, coming soon. We'll have that as well. But I'm excited about the work you are doing. I'm excited about you, Pastor Harris. Everybody online, looking forward to us working in partnership.
This is really, really exciting, you all. And could you all do me a favor? Did you enjoy the food on tonight? Could y'all give it up for Passion Eats, African-American, female-owned? Come on, y'all clap for that. We're really excited about that. And we're getting ready to go offline, and we have a raffle. Listen, Asia, you get your emails from our liaison, Asia. Y'all clap for Miss Asia. Asia, I got a question. Are you about to give away some gifts, some money? What you about to do? Huh? Give her a microphone, Joe, some what?
Some gifts.
All right, some gifts. All right. So come on, give us, you got your tickets? Everybody get your bingo tickets. Come on. How many are we pulling?
We're just pulling 4.
Come on.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay.
There you go.
All right, Pastor Harris, you do the honors.
All right, come on. Our superintendent, you want to pull the She's pulling those tickets. Whose gifts are these? Are we going offline now? All right, want to thank our online audience. We appreciate y'all. Please share, so everyone else in your sphere of influence will be able to receive this information. Y'all clap for our online audience.